Welcome to my channel garden. Hi there. Today, we're diving into a brand new story. The villain was never sick. Let's begin. Rain tapped softly against the car window. Liang Zhen stared blankly at his own reflection. A pale face, black hair, and a beauty mark beneath the left eye. It was not his face. His heartbeat stopped for a second. Then memory slammed into him like ice water. A tragic novel. A terminally ill villain. An arranged marriage, a dead spouse. An abandoned child, and him, no, not him, the cannon fodder wife. Liang Zhen nearly blacked out again. Young master. The driver's cautious voice came from the front. You've arrived. Arrived where? Liang Zhen looked outside. A massive estate stood beyond iron gates, dimly lit beneath the rain. Cold white architecture. Silent gardens. The entire place looked less like a home and more like a place where secrets were buried. The Shin residence. His fingers trembled instantly. Oh no, this was the beginning. In the novel, the arranged marriage happened after Shen Wenzhou's original fiancée died in a suspicious accident. The Shin family urgently needed a marriage alliance to stabilize rumors surrounding the company and Shen Wenzhou's health. Meanwhile, Liang family needed money, so they sold him off. And later, the wife died in a car crash. Shen Wenzhou eventually died, while taking revenge against the mastermind behind his fiancée's death, leaving behind only one child alone. Liang Zhen's chest tightened painfully. Young master. The driver looked worried now. Liang Zhen realized he'd been sitting frozen for almost a full minute. I'm fine. His voice sounded unfamiliar too. Great. Fantastic. He was doomed. The car door opened. Cold rain-scented wind rushed in. A servant immediately approached with an umbrella. Mr. Liang, welcome home. Home? Absolutely not. Liang Zhen followed them inside anyway because what else was he supposed to do? Run? Into the rain? Into traffic? Into fate itself? The mansion interior was warm but eerily quiet. No wedding decorations. No joy, no laughter. This wasn't a marriage. It was a contract waiting to become a funeral. Servants moved silently around him with lowered eyes. Nobody smiled. One older maid finally spoke gently. Young master is upstairs. He's been resting since this afternoon. Young master. Shen Wenzhou. The villain himself. Liang Zhen's nerves instantly exploded. In the novel, Shen Wenzhou was terrifying. Cold-blooded, obsessive, and brilliant. Even while dying, he managed to drag half the antagonists down with him. And now Liang Zhen had to live in the same house as him. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. The maid hesitated before adding softly. And young Master Xinyu is in the dining room. Oh, the child. Liang Zhen paused. Right. The adopted son. The only survivor. Something inside him softened immediately. Can I see him first? The servants looked surprised. Most people avoided the child. After all, Xinyu barely spoke and stared at people like he could already see their lies. Still, the maid nodded. This way. The dining room lights were dim. A small figure sat alone at the massive table, quietly eating dinner with perfect posture. Tiny hands, dark eyes, and an expressionless face. Too quiet for a 6-year-old. Liang Zhen's chest hurt unexpectedly. This child was going to lose everything. Xinyu looked up slowly. Their eyes met. Silence. Then the boy spoke flatly. You're the new one. What? The previous caretakers all left. Right. Because nobody stayed long around the dying villain's adopted child. Liang Zhen pulled out a chair carefully and sat across from him. You already ate vegetables? The nearby servants looked shocked. That was his first question. Xinyu blinked once. Yes. Good job. The room became silent. Even Xinyu froze slightly, like he didn't know what to do with praise. Liang Zhen suddenly felt even worse. Oh God, this child had emotional damage already. He looked down at the untouched bowl beside Xinyu. You don't like soup? Too hot. Liang Zhen instinctively reached over, stirred the soup gently for a few seconds, then pushed it back. It's okay now. Xinyu stared at him quietly for a long moment suspiciously. like a stray cat deciding whether someone was safe. Then, tiny fingers slowly wrapped around the spoon. The servants looked ready to faint, because Shin Yu hated strangers touching his things. Liang Zhen completely missed this. He was too busy internally screaming about future death flags. Need to survive, need to protect child, need to avoid car accidents and somehow stop villain from dying. Simple. A low cough suddenly echoed from the doorway. The entire dining room froze. Servants immediately lowered their heads. Liang Zhen turned and almost forgot to breathe. A man stood beneath the warm hallway lights. Tall and elegant with black silk shirt loosely draped over a lean frame. Skin pale enough to look almost sickly. Beautiful, cold eyes half hidden behind silver-framed glasses. One hand loosely holding medicine and the other resting against the doorframe. Shen Wenzhou, the villain. The supposedly terminally ill villain. He looked at Liang Zhen quietly, then at the bowl of soup in Shin Yu's hands. A strange silence filled the room, and for one terrifying moment Liang Zhen thought, wait, why does he not look like someone dying at all? Shen Wenzhou walked into the dining room slowly, measured steps and unhurried. Not a trace of weakness in them. Liang Zhen's brain immediately began malfunctioning. Wait, no, hold on. In the novel, wasn't he supposed to be coughing blood every 3 chapters? Why did this man walk like he owned several cemeteries and knew exactly where to bury people? The servants lowered their heads further. Even the atmosphere seemed to tense around him. Shin Yu, meanwhile, continued eating soup quietly, like this terrifying pressure was normal. Shen Wenzhou stopped beside the table. His gaze landed on Liang Zhen, calm and unreadable. So, he said softly, you're my new wife. Liang Zhen nearly choked on air. Wife, right? Technically, legally, unfortunately. Hello? Liang Zhen managed weakly. Shen Wenzhou watched him for another second. Then cough. A sharp cough interrupted the silence. The nearby servants immediately looked nervous. Ah, there it was. The illness. Shen Wenzhou pressed a handkerchief lightly to his lips before lowering it again. No blood but still elegant. Annoyingly elegant. Sit, Shen Wenzhou said. Liang Zhen realized he'd instinctively stood up at some point and quickly sat back down. The villain took the seat at the head of the table. A servant approached immediately. Young master, the doctor said. I know what the doctor said. The servant instantly retreated. Liang Zhen stared. The control this man had over the room was absurd. This was not the energy of someone waiting quietly for death. This was the energy of someone people feared disappointing. Shen Wenzhou finally glanced toward Shin Yu. You ate. Shin Yu nodded once. And vegetables. Another nod. A pause. Then Shen Wenzhou's eyes slowly shifted toward Liang Zhen again. Interesting. Liang Zhen suddenly felt like prey spotted by a very intelligent snake. He forced a smile. He's very good. Shen Wenzhou rested his chin lightly against one hand. And within 10 minutes of meeting him, you achieved what 3 child psychologists could not. Ah, should I congratulate you? Liang Zhen, this feels like a trap. Before he could answer, Shin Yu suddenly spoke. The soup was hot. Shen Wenzhou looked at the bowl, then at Liang Zhen. You cooled it for him. It wasn't a question. Liang Zhen awkwardly nodded. Children can burn their tongues easily. Silence. For some reason, the room became even quieter. One servant looked like she was trying not to cry. Another looked horrified. Liang Zhen? Did I accidentally trigger hidden plot events already? Then Shen Wenzhou leaned back slightly. You're different from what I expected. Warning bells. Warning bells everywhere. Because in novels, whenever villains say that, terrible things happen afterward. Liang Zhen immediately entered survival mode. I don't want anything from you. The moment the words left his mouth, the servants collectively stopped breathing. Even Shin Yu looked up. Shen Wenzhou's expression stilled. Liang Zhen realized too late how suspicious that sounded. No, I mean not like that. I know this marriage is an arrangement and I won't interfere with your life and I definitely don't have secret motives and why was he digging his own grave? Then suddenly a quiet laugh. The entire room froze. Liang Zhen blinked. Wait, did Shen Wenzhou just laugh? It was brief and soft, almost disbelieving, like he'd heard something genuinely amusing for the first time in a long while. You're nervous, Shen Wenzhou observed. Wouldn't you be? Liang Zhen froze. Oh no, oh no. Did he just yell at the villain? The servants looked spiritually prepared for a funeral now. But Shen Wenzhou only watched him quietly. Then he said, fair enough. Liang Zhen stared blankly. That was allowed? Meanwhile, Shen Yu silently moved his bowl closer to Liang Zhen. Tiny motion. Small enough most people would miss it. But Shen Wenzhou noticed. His gaze lowered to the child, then slowly returned to Liang Zhen, and something in his eyes shifted. Interest. Dinner ended under an atmosphere so tense Liang Zhen felt like he deserved compensation. The servants cleared the table silently. Shen Yu remained beside Liang Zhen the entire time, not speaking, just staying close, which apparently was shocking behavior. One maid accidentally dropped a spoon after witnessing Shen Yu tug lightly at Liang Zhen's sleeve. The child looked up. Can you stay until I sleep? Liang Zhen's heart shattered instantly. How could anyone survive against this tiny, emotionally neglected creature? Of course. Shen Yu nodded once, satisfied. Meanwhile, at the head of the table, Shen Wenzhou quietly sipped tea while observing everything. Liang Zhen could practically feel that gaze, like being analyzed under a microscope or targeted by a sniper or possibly both. Finally, Shen Wenzhou spoke. Chun auntie. Yes, young master. Prepare the east side room. Liang Zhen blinked. East side room? The servants looked startled. One even glanced quickly toward Liang Zhen before lowering her head again. Understood. Something about this felt important. Then Shen Wenzhou stood. You'll stay there from now on. Oh, his room. Wait, his room. Liang Zhen nearly died on the spot. Hold on. In the novel, didn't they sleep separately? Why was the plot changing already? I can sleep elsewhere. You're my spouse. Shen Wenzhou said it calmly, as though stating the weather. People are watching this marriage closely. Liang Zhen immediately shut up. Right? Public image. Business politics. Scandals. Okay. Understandable. Still terrifying. Shen Wenzhou adjusted his cuffs lazily. Don't worry. His pale eyes lifted toward Liang Zhen. I have no interest in forcing someone unwilling. The words sounded polite, but something about his gaze made Liang Zhen suddenly think. No, this man doesn't force people because he doesn't need to, which was somehow scarier. Shen Yu tugged Liang Zhen's sleeve again. Calm. The child led him upstairs before Liang Zhen could continue spiraling mentally. Shen Yu's room was unexpectedly warm. Soft lighting surrounded with bookshelves around and a small piano near the window. There were even plush toys arranged neatly on the bed. But despite everything, the room still felt lonely, tidy, and quiet, like nobody had ever truly lived in it. Liang Zhen sat beside the bed while Shen Yu climbed under the blankets. The child stared at him silently for a while, then asked, Will you die too? Liang Zhen froze. Right. The original story. Everyone around this child kept disappearing. His throat tightened slightly. No. Came out firmer than expected. I won't. Shen Yu studied him carefully. Really? Really? A long silence followed. Then Shen Yu slowly moved closer until he was holding the edge of Liang Zhen's sleeve. Okay. That one tiny word nearly killed Liang Zhen. He gently patted the child's head. Shen Yu closed his eyes soon after. But even asleep, he never let go of Liang Zhen's sleeve. Liang Zhen stayed there quietly for a long time. Until, You're soft-hearted. A voice suddenly came from the doorway. Liang Zhen jumped so hard he almost screamed. Shen Wenzhou stood outside the room. Black shirt sleeves rolled slightly upward now. Silver-framed glasses reflecting dim light. He looked less like a sick patient and more like the final boss of a crime thriller. How did he walk so quietly? Liang Zhen carefully untangled Shen Yu's fingers before standing up. He's just a child. Shen Wenzhou's gaze shifted toward the sleeping boy. Most people avoid him. They're idiots. The words left Liang Zhen's mouth instantly. Then silence fell. Again. Why was he like this? Why did survival instinct leave his body every 5 minutes? But Shen Wenzhou only looked amused. A bold statement. Liang Zhen awkwardly coughed. Well, children can tell when adults dislike them. And you like him? Yes. No hesitation. Not even a little. Something unreadable flickered through Shen Wenzhou's eyes. Then he turned slightly. Calm. Liang Zhen blinked. Where? Our room. Our room. Our room. Liang Zhen internally left his body. The east side master bedroom was enormous. Dark wood, floor-to-ceiling windows, cold modern elegance, and one very large bed. Liang Zhen stared at it like it had personally betrayed him. Shen Wenzhou calmly removed his watch. You can sleep first. You're not sleeping? I still have work. Villain activities. Probably. Liang Zhen hesitated before finally speaking carefully. You should rest more. Shen Wenzhou paused. You're concerned about my health? Yes? Obviously? You die in the novel? But Liang Zhen couldn't exactly say that. So instead, you're sick. For a moment, Shen Wenzhou looked at him strangely, almost sharply. Then a faint smile appeared. Not warm, not mocking either, but something subtler. Right? He said softly. I'm sick. Morning arrived quietly. Liang Zhen woke up to warmth, which was alarming, because he distinctly remembered falling asleep on the absolute farthest edge of the bed like a man trying to preserve his life. So why, slowly, carefully, he opened his eyes. Darkness. Soft morning light filtering through curtains. And directly in front of him, a chest. A very solid chest. Liang Zhen's soul ascended immediately. His brain froze for 3 full seconds before memories returned all at once. Shared bed, marriage, villain husband, and a fake. No, supposedly terminally ill villain husband. Oh no. Oh no. At some point during the night, he had apparently rolled across the entire mattress and attached himself to Shen Wenzhou like a survival koala. One arm around his waist. One leg partially tangled. Even worse, his face was pressed against Shen Wenzhou's shoulder. Liang Zhen stopped breathing. Then, very carefully, he tried to retreat. A hand suddenly closed around his wrist. Where are you going? A low morning voice, still sleepy and dangerously attractive. Liang Zhen nearly screamed. Shen Wenzhou's eyes remained closed, but his grip was firm. Not weak or fragile. Firm enough that Liang Zhen instantly remembered. Right? This man absolutely does not feel terminally ill. I was trying not to disturb you. No release. Just silence. Liang Zhen stayed frozen. Then Shen Wenzhou finally opened his eyes slowly. Cold gray eyes met his. Too close. Way too close. For a brief second neither moved. Then Shen Wenzhou glanced downward. At Liang Zhen's arm around his waist. Then back up. Interesting sleeping habits. Liang Zhen wanted death immediately. I move around unconsciously sometimes. You climbed onto me. I know. And refused to let go. I deeply apologize. To Liang Zhen's horror, Shen Wenzhou looked genuinely entertained. Not annoyed. Entertained. Which somehow felt worse. Then cough. A harsh cough interrupted the moment. Shen Wenzhou turned slightly away, shoulders tensing. Liang Zhen immediately panicked. Right? The illness. All embarrassment vanished instantly. Are you okay? He reached forward instinctively. Too instinctively. His hand landed directly against Shen Wenzhou's neck. Warm skin. Strong pulse. Liang Zhen froze. Wait, that pulse was extremely steady. Not weak. Not unstable. Actually very healthy. Shen Wenzhou looked at him quietly. Too quietly. Liang Zhen's brain started connecting dots. No pale lips. No trembling hands. No difficulty breathing. No medicine smell except the occasional staged pills. Even yesterday's cough had sounded almost deliberate. A horrifying thought slowly emerged. No way. No way. No way. Before Liang Zhen could spiral further, a knock came from outside. Young master, a servant said nervously. Second Master Liang is here. Liang Kai. The stepbrother. Liang Zhen instantly stiffened. Why was he here this early? Shen Wenzhou released Liang Zhen's wrist slowly. Let him wait. The servant hesitated. He says it's urgent. Then he can wait urgently. Understood. Footsteps retreated immediately. Liang Zhen almost laughed despite himself. That was so unnecessarily mean. Then he remembered who he was dealing with. Right? Villain. Shen Wenzhou sat up calmly, adjusting the sleeves of his black sleep shirt. Even half awake, he looked elegant enough to make magazines cry. Meanwhile, Liang Zhen still looked spiritually deceased. Shen Wenzhou glanced at him. You dislike your brother. Not a question. Liang Zhen hesitated. He dislikes me first. Again that thoughtful sound. Like he was quietly categorizing information. Dangerous information. Liang Zhen suddenly remembered something from the original novel. The Liang family did not end well. At the time, readers thought it was because Shen Wenzhou went mad after his spouse died. But now, watching this calm, intelligent, terrifying man adjusting his cuffs beside him, Liang Zhen suddenly had a horrifying realization. Maybe Shen Wenzhou had always intended to destroy them. Then Shen Wenzhou casually asked, "Did they mistreat you often?" Liang Zhen's survival instincts exploded instantly. Wrong question. This was a very wrong question. Because for some reason, the room suddenly felt colder. Liang Zhen's instincts screamed, "Do not answer honestly. Absolutely do not." Because Shen Wenzhou was asking too calmly, too casually. Like someone politely inquiring about the weather while deciding whether arson was legally justifiable. It wasn't that serious, Liang Zhen said carefully. Shen Wenzhou looked unconvinced immediately. You hesitated. I was thinking. You looked afraid. Liang Zhen, this man is impossible. After freshening up, Liang Zhen lay on the bed lazily. Meanwhile, Shen Wenzhou calmly walked toward the wardrobe. Liang Kai arrived before 8 in the morning after your first night here, he said evenly. Either he's extremely attached to you, pause, or he believes you're easy to pressure. Well, that was unfortunately accurate. Liang Zhen rubbed his forehead weakly. My family just likes benefits. And you? What about me? What do you like? The question caught him off guard. Nobody had asked that in a very long time. Even in his original life, most conversations revolved around survival, grades, work, expectations. What did he like? Liang Zhen blinked slowly. Quiet places, I guess. Shen Wenzhou glanced back at him. Anything else? Books. And sleeping. That actually earned a soft breath of amusement. Then Shen Wenzhou picked up a dark tie lazily. Help me. Liang Zhen froze. What? The tie. Oh, right. Normal spouse activities. Probably. Trying not to overthink it, Liang Zhen climbed off the bed and approached him carefully. Up close, Shen Wenzhou was even more unfairly attractive. Tall, sharp-featured, cool skin. How was this man described as a dying villain instead of a romance protagonist? Liang Zhen focused on the tie desperately. Unfortunately, his hands brushed lightly against Shen Wenzhou's collar while adjusting it. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Liang Zhen could feel Shen Wenzhou watching him. Not moving, not speaking, just watching. Done, Liang Zhen said quickly, trying to retreat. A hand suddenly caught his wrist again. There it was, the wrist grabbing. Why did this villain keep doing that? Liang Zhen looked up nervously. Shen Wenzhou studied him for a moment, then quietly asked, Why are you treating me well? Liang Zhen blinked. Because you're my husband? Silence. The wrong answer. Definitely the wrong answer. Something in Shen Wenzhou's expression changed slightly. Not anger. Something stranger. More complicated. Then, knock, knock. Young master, a servant said carefully from outside. Young master Shen Yu is looking for Mr. Liang. Instant release. Liang Zhen escaped so fast it almost qualified as teleportation. Downstairs, Shen Yu sat in the living room clutching a small book. The moment he saw Liang Zhen, his shoulders relaxed visibly. Oh no, that tiny motion stabbed directly through Liang Zhen's heart. Good morning. Morning. Shin Yu held up the book quietly. Read. Liang Zhen immediately sat beside him. Now? A nod. Before Liang Zhen could respond, another voice interrupted. Ahem. Liang Kai stood near the doorway, perfectly dressed, perfectly fake smile, and eyes filled with poorly hidden disdain. There you are. Liang Zhen's mood died instantly. Shen Yu immediately moved closer to Liang Zhen. Observing silently, Liang Kai's smile twitched slightly upon noticing. What a surprise, he said lightly. The child actually likes you. Liang Zhen ignored the obvious insult. Why are you here? Liang Kai sat across from him uninvited. Father wanted me to remind you about your responsibilities. There it was, the leash tightening. You're married into the Shin family now. Liang Kai continued smoothly. You should remember who raised you. Translation. Don't forget to benefit us. Liang Zhen's expression cooled slightly. Meanwhile, Shin Yu stared at Liang Kai without blinking. The atmosphere grew uncomfortable fast. But Liang Kai either didn't notice or didn't care. By the way, he added casually, Father hopes you can ask President Shen about the West District project. Liang Zhen nearly laughed. He had been married less than 24 hours. These people were unbelievable. I won't. Liang Kai's smile disappeared. What? I said no. The room fell silent. Even the servants looked shocked. Original Liang Zhen apparently never resisted openly. Liang Kai's expression darkened immediately. Don't forget your position. Before Liang Zhen could answer, another voice entered calmly from behind. Oh, I'm curious. The temperature in the room dropped instantly. Shen Wenzhou walked in slowly, sleeves neatly adjusted, expression cool. What position would that be? Liang Kai went pale for exactly half a second. Then the polite smile returned. President Shin. Shen Wenzhou gave a slight nod and walked into the living room. No hurry, no wasted movement. Yet the entire atmosphere shifted around him immediately, like a predator entering a room full of smaller animals. Shin Yu quietly climbed off the sofa and walked straight to Shen Wenzhou's side. Not clinging, just standing there, comfortable and used to him. Shen Wenzhou rested a hand briefly against the child's head before looking back at Liang Kai. You were saying? Liang Kai's smile strained slightly. I only meant that Zhen should remember his family. Shen Wenzhou sat down across from him, elegant and relaxed. And has he forgotten them? No, of course not. Then why remind him? Liang Kai paused. Liang Zhen almost pitied him. Almost. Because Shen Wenzhou wasn't raising his voice or acting hostile. That made it worse. Much worse. Liang Kai forced a laugh. President Shin misunderstands. Father was only concerned that Zhen might struggle adapting here. Is that so? Shen Wenzhou's tone remained mild, but his eyes were cold enough to freeze oceans. Then he casually added, I heard you arrived before breakfast to discuss the West District project. Silence. Liang Kai's face stiffened. The servants collectively pretended not to exist. It was merely a suggestion directed toward my spouse less than a day after the wedding. Shen Wenzhou tilted his head slightly. How ambitious. Liang Kai's jaw tightened. Liang Zhen suddenly realized something horrifying. Shen Wenzhou was angry, not visibly or loudly, and somehow that felt far more dangerous than shouting. Liang Kai clearly noticed too because he immediately changed tactics. You misunderstand our intentions, he said carefully. The Liang family only hopes for good relations with the Shin family. Relations. A faint smile appeared on Shen Wenzhou's lips. It did not reach his eyes. Interesting. Liang Zhen had no idea why that one word sounded like a death sentence. Then Shen Wenzhou turned toward him suddenly. Liang Zhen. Yes. Come here. Liang Zhen blinked, then obeyed automatically because survival instincts demanded it. The moment he approached, Shen Wenzhou reached out and pulled him lightly closer by the wrist. Close enough that Liang Zhen nearly lost balance. Close enough to feel warmth through fabric. Liang Kai's expression cracked instantly. President Shen? Shen Wenzhou ignored him completely. Instead, He looked up at Liang Zhen and asked calmly, "Did you sleep well?" Liang Zhen's brain short-circuited. What kind of question was this? In front of Liang Kai too? Why yes. Good. Then Shen Wenzhou adjusted the slightly crooked collar near Liang Zhen's neck with terrifying naturalness. The servants looked ready to collapse. Liang Kai looked like he'd swallowed poison. And suddenly Liang Zhen understood. Oh. This bastard was doing it on purpose. Showing ownership. Sending a message. Mine. The realization made Liang Zhen's ears heat instantly. Meanwhile, Shen Wenzhou finally glanced toward Liang Kai again. The Liang family need not worry. His voice remained perfectly polite. I take very good care of my spouse. Liang Kai's face had become wonderfully ugly, but he still forced out, of course. Then Shen Wenzhou delivered the killing blow calmly. As for the West District project, Liang Kai's eyes lit up slightly. The Shin family will no longer consider cooperation with Liang Corporation. Dead silence. Liang Zhen stopped breathing. Liang Kai stared blankly. What? The investment review ended this morning. Shen Wenzhou's expression remained unreadable. We found the Liang family unsuitable. That was absolutely deliberate. Absolutely retaliation. And everyone in the room knew it. Liang Kai finally lost composure. You can't cancel because of a misunderstanding like this. A misunderstanding? Shen Wenzhou's gaze sharpened slightly. You arrived at my home to pressure my spouse for business benefits. Each word landed softly, precisely. And now you're raising your voice in front of my child. Liang Kai froze. Shun Yu was indeed staring at him coldly from nearby. Liang Kai immediately realized he'd stepped into a trap too late. Then Shen Wenzhou leaned back slightly and smiled faintly. Why would I cooperate with people who don't understand basic boundaries? Liang Kai looked genuinely shaken now, because this wasn't just losing a project. The Shin family cutting ties publicly could seriously damage Liang Corporation. Liang Zhen suddenly remembered. Oh right, the villain destroys people professionally. Liang Kai stood abruptly. This matter isn't over. Shen Wenzhou looked unimpressed. I didn't say you could leave yet. The room went ice-cold. Liang Kai froze mid-step. The servants lowered their heads even further. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Liang Zhen suddenly understood why people in the novel feared Shen Wenzhou so much. Because this man didn't need to shout. Didn't need threats. One calm sentence was enough to make an entire room tense like a courtroom awaiting execution. Liang Kai slowly turned back. President Shen? Shen Wenzhou sat lazily against the sofa, one arm resting beside him, perfectly composed. But his eyes were cold now. You came into my home early in the morning, Shen Wenzhou said evenly. Pressured my spouse, disturbed my child, and attempted to leverage familial guilt for profit. Every word was precise and controlled. And after offending the host, you intend to leave without apologizing? Liang Kai's face darkened. He clearly wanted to explode. Unfortunately for him, exploding at Shen Wenzhou was probably equivalent to career suicide. So instead, he forced the words out through clenched teeth. I apologize. To whom? The silence afterward was vicious. Liang Kai's expression twisted slightly. Then finally, to Liang Zhen. Liang Zhen blinked. Wait, him? His stepbrother had literally never apologized to him before. Not once. Even as children. For a brief second Liang Kai's eyes met his. And there was pure resentment there. Like Liang Zhen had suddenly become something untouchable overnight. Shen Wenzhou finally nodded once. You may leave now. Liang Kai left immediately, almost stiffly. The moment the front doors shut, the pressure in the room vanished. Liang Zhen unconsciously exhaled, then immediately realized something else. Wait, did Shen Wenzhou just publicly support him? Like, genuinely? Before he could process it, Shun Yu quietly climbed back beside him on the sofa, then placed the storybook back into Liang Zhen's hands. Read. Liang Zhen stared at the child. You were waiting this whole time? A tiny nod. Oh no. This family was dangerous in completely different ways. One destroyed companies calmly. The other destroyed hearts silently. Liang Zhen surrendered instantly. Okay, okay. He opened the book while Shen Yu leaned quietly against his side. Across from them, Shen Wenzhou watched silently. The morning sunlight filtered through the tall windows. Warm and peaceful,